South Africa, a country of over 55 million people, is Africa's most industrialized country, with a GDP of $294 billion. Rich in large deposits of natural resources, a highly organized agricultural sector, and a powerhouse of manufacturing and banking on the continent. South Africa is also one of the highest emitters of greenhouse gases in the world, relying heavily on fossil fuels as its primary energy source, with coal providing 70% of power and low carbon technologies only 4% but growing. The power sector makes up 78% of South African emissions. The observable effects of climate change in South Africa can be seen in flooding, drought, change in rainfall distribution, and receding bodies of water. South Africa needs to shift the way it powers its economy to embrace renewables and a low-carbon development pathway.
We actually have to ensure that we grow our economies for the people's sake, for socio-economic development, but ensuring that at the same time, as the economy grows, this grows within the context of us dealing with the impact of climate change.
There will be 9 billion people on this planet by 2050. Therefore, we need to make sure that they are adequately provided for.
So climate change, and particularly patterns of reduction of water, increasing drought, increasing drying, will have a devastating effect on people across the country, and in particular on poor people.
This transition to a low-carbon economy is critical to the sustainable development and growth of South Africa, as well as the continent. It's also imperative that this transformation is managed collectively by government, business, and other stakeholders.
The carbon emission reductions can never actually be won by any single party alone. It is extremely important that we look at partnerships within countries, across countries, but also even parties of the world work together. No single party can ever make it alone.
The whole issue of sustainability is a global issue. It's not just a South African issue. And therefore, if we're going to work with others, we need to have a framework that has been well defined, that understands what are the key critical elements to it, and how we're going to measure our successes, and how we're going to continue collaborating with each other in terms of achieving those critical goals.
In South Africa, government and business are partnering in low-carbon projects, delivering tangible results and fostering collaboration. CDP data shows 30% reductions in 2016 in company emissions from a 2011 peak. The Private Sector Energy Efficiency Program, hosted by the Department of Energy and the NBI, identified 7,000 opportunities across businesses that require investment of 3.5 billion rand to unlock annual savings of 2,000 gigawatt hours and carbon savings of 16.9 million tons. 2 natural gas fields in Mozambique were developed through a partnership between Mozambique, South Africa, and Sasol. Sasol's investment assists its customers in South Africa to reduce their emissions by more than 3 million tons per year. The World Bank has cited the project as a benchmark for new sustainable investments in Africa. South Africa's acclaimed renewable energy independent power producers procurement program has realized 6,422 megawatts of electricity. Investment of 201 billion rand, the creation of 33,000 jobs, and carbon emission reductions of 13.3 million tons of CO2 gases. Exxaro's 50% interest in Synergy, a joint venture with Tata Power, has developed 2 wind farms with a combined generation capacity of 229 megawatts. Eskom's energy program includes the distribution of 64 million compact fluorescent light bulbs, the world's largest rollout of its kind, the 100-megawatt Serra wind farm, and construction of the 1,300-megawatt Ingula pumped storage facility. The Green Fund, managed by the Development Bank of South Africa on behalf of the Department of Environmental Affairs, helped finance a range of green economy projects, including the Lukhanyiso Food and Energy Center biogas project in the Free State. The plant will produce 172,000 gigajoules per year. Companies and government are working on the critical need for adaptation. In South Africa, over the last 40 years, 266 natural disasters occurred, killing almost 6,000. Disasters alone in 2015 cost the economy 28 billion rand, and companies report in 2017 that changes in precipitation extremes and droughts could cost them 4 billion rand. The Santam Partnership for Risk and Resilience program works with local government to address disaster risk management, job creation, installation of early warning systems, and improve capacity to ensure service delivery. The South African National Biodiversity Institute's Adaptation Fund gives small grants that deliver real benefits to 975 rural community members in the Namakwa district, reducing vulnerability to climate change. SASOL, the German Agency for International Cooperation, and the Department of Water and Sanitation and Metsimaholo local municipality have reduced water loss in the Zamdela area by 23%, with annual savings of $730,000. Woolworths real-time water metering has reduced their water consumption by 43% since 2007. In partnership with the WWF, Woolworths are working on the Farming for the Future program to build resilience in farms that supply to them and other retailers, realizing huge reductions in water usage and carbon emissions.
Business is the entity that really drives the economy and drives the production of greenhouse gases, and also has the ability to do a huge amount to build resilience to the impacts of climate change. And what we need to see is business and government, as well as civil society, working much, much more closely together in order to achieve a set of common objectives.
Parties of the world have decided that as we are going to be implementing post-2020 actions, we have to ramp up the actions in partnership and collaboration. And there's a program that we think that is very, very important, of looking at real actions, measuring them, looking at how they are impactful in a collaborative manner, but also individually, and learning from one another.
Though great strides have been made by both government and business, South Africa still ranks number 14 for CO2 emissions in the world, the highest in Africa, and efforts need to be redoubled if we are to meet our obligations to a sustainable, equitable, and thriving South African society.
What we're going to need to do is to really place sustainability as a driver of economy and society, really right at the forefront of our thinking, in order that in what we do today, we're trying to ensure that the quality of life, the circumstances and people, and the resilience of our natural resource base are placed first into the future.
South Africa subscribes to sustainable development. 3 pillars: economy, ecology, and the people. All of us must act individually and collectively. We do believe that we can make it and reduce the carbon emissions of the world.